It's time to get unmasked. Please welcome your host, Pamela Elaine Nichols and Cheryl A.S. Haley.
And welcome to Unmasked Real Talk Live. This is the place where we get real about topics not often discussed openly. The names of those who participate in the weekly challenge go into the raffle spin. So if you would like for your name to go in the raffle spin each week, just participate in the weekly challenge we put out. Now, if you won a raffle prize in the past and you have not yet received it, please, first of all, forgive us. Please send us a message in our Facebook group. Tell us the raffle prize, and we will get that out to you ASAP. Today's raffle is an inspirational candle, and you're going to want to use this candle. When we talk about today's topic, we would love it if you would use that candle and light it and take a picture of yourself doing whatever you're doing with that candle lit. We would love to see that it's making a difference for you, should you win. All right, so thank you to all who participated in How Being Thankful helped you in tough times challenge. We were so moved by your transparency, your authenticity, your sharing. This week's challenge will be dropped in our Facebook group. Be sure to add your comment to the challenge by Monday, December the 12th. That's the day before we go live on this show. All right, but before we get into our topic for today, we do have a bit of sad news we want to share. A family we are familiar with lost a loved one, and Cheryl is going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. As Pamela Lane has shared, we want to take a moment to extend heartfelt condolences to the family of Carrie Connor Hatchett, who was a co-founder of Praise is the Cure, who transitioned. She and her amazing mom, Anita Connor, they have been trailblazers and they have been tremendous advocates for breast cancer awareness. Our prayers are with the family and all the lives that they have touched. So we just want you throughout the day and throughout the next coming days, just take a moment and just remember the family in prayers and praise to God for how she was so impactful in so many lives. So we just want to take the opportunity to share that. As we transition, we're going to go into today's topic, and today's topic is take time for you. And we even take a moment to pause about even the news that we shared. It's a part of life, but even in moments of loss, in moments of grief, it is so important that we take time to process what's coming up for us. Now, there's a quote by Oprah Winfrey, which says, "I was once afraid of people saying, 'Who does she think she is?' Now I courage to stand and say, 'This is who I am.'" Now, when
I
we
love that.
think about that, isn't that a powerful quote? It's such
It
a
is.
powerful quote. And how often do we have the audacity to say, "This is who I am"? But sometimes we go through life experiences due to putting ourselves on the back burner, as we previously discussed, and we become fatigued. But do you realize that you, our sisters, have a divine destiny? Do you really believe that? One
Mhm.
purpose by God and one that only you can fulfill. Nobody but you can fulfill that destiny that He has orchestrated for your lives. But Pamela Lane and I, we know all too well that our little minds, especially if we are fatigued, will tell us that we don't know who we are, and they'll also tell us that we don't matter or we aren't enough. What a lie. Can we just call it what it is? It's a lie.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
It's a
Tell them
lie.
it is a lie. But guess what? How often do we believe the lie if we have a real moment? How often do we believe the lie? When we allow this mindset to take root, it often causes us to put ourselves last and focus on the dreams, the
Hmm.
goals, and the
Hmm.
desires of, guess what? Someone else's life mission. But
My.
Yours is just as important as someone else's. But when we become fatigued, what we do is just that. We put ours on the back burner and we begin to work zealously for somebody else's. Now, look at what happens, however, when we listen to the mental chatter that attempts to rob us of God's destiny for our lives. You know, that lie that tells us that we aren't good enough, that we don't matter. And guess what? It's never going to happen. So why bother? We get taken off track due to a lack of focus. We can find ourselves in unhealthy relationships, unhealthy marriages, unhealthy social circles. We can
Mm,
take the wrong job because we were looking for something for significance. So someone might dangle a job in front of us and it sounds like just the right job, but because we're fatigued, because we're not focused, and we've lost sense of gotten off track, we can take the wrong job. We can find ourselves on the wrong path. We were going straight. Somewhere along the line, we got
Hmm.
overwhelmed, we became fatigued, and we found ourselves off course going on the wrong path. We can start to feel like we failed.
mm,
Mm.
that's real. That's real right there.
How many we start to feel like we failed, and we ultimately become what? We become flustered, we become stressed, and guess what? We become fatigued. And you know what the result is? Rather than investing in yourself, you put your dreams, listen carefully, you put your dreams, your desires on hold when fatigue sets in. In other words, we're talking about putting the very thing God placed inside of you, that thing that you go to sleep with at night,
Mm,
that thing you wake up in the morning on
mm,
the back
mm.
burner to serve others. Does
My.
it sound familiar to anybody in the space? Does this
Yes.
sound familiar? Pam, how familiar does it sound? How familiar does it sound?
Yes. I mean, I think back to I, mm, I think back to how many years I invested in my spouse,
Mhm,
and I'm no longer married, as most of you all know. I was married for 18 years. How much I invested in my spouse, and how much I invested, as crazy as this might sound, but in my kids. Like, I'm still co-parenting one child, which beautiful child, and it takes nothing away from her. But I'm looking at uh, July 2023
mhm,
that I will no longer be actively co-parenting. My child will be on her way off to college. And when I think about 20 years, 28, 29, almost 30 years, I have invested more in others than I have in myself. Almost 30 years, y'all. And and I know that some might be thinking, but yeah, but that was your husband, that was your children. Yes, but I have to admit there's a bit of regret, a resentment. I'm sorry, a bit of resentment. If we
mhm.
go, this is Unmasked Real Talk Live, right?
It's real talk, it's real talk, it's real, keep it
Real
real,
talk.
it's real talk. Mhm,
I
mhm,
do have a bit of resentment, not really towards them,
mm,
because they weren't like, you got to take care of me because that's your job, but maybe resentment towards myself
yep,
because I devoted so much to them.
mhm,
And I think about, well, what if I had devoted more to my
mhm,
more to myself first? Where would
mm,
I be in life?
mm,
Maybe I would be the CEO of some multi-million dollar company, or maybe I might be a physician because that's one of the things I wanted to be. I think about all the things I could have been had I given more to myself
yeah,
instead of so much to others. And that really brings up a bit of resentment within me that I just have to keep real right now with y'all, because maybe somebody else feels the same way. That where could you have been? What could be different in your life? Maybe you could be a multimillionaire if you hadn't given up so much of your own finances and income to help everybody else go. It really, see, you struck a chord, Sister Cheryl. I feel like I'm on a roll right now with bleh, I'm talking all about my stuff, but it really is real, and I just would love to hear if other people have experienced something similar of giving, 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 and then looking back like, what if I hadn't given it all away, kept
yeah.
some for myself, what where would I be right now?
Yeah. As you shared, Pam, and because we do have some history, and I thought about, some of the endeavors that we're talking about, taking time for yourself. And what happens when I look back, what the impact of getting taken off track, or the
Mm.
impact on relationships, or
Yeah.
going down the wrong path and feeling like we failed.
Mm.
When
Mhm.
you put a number on it and that resentment, I too can say I share in that resentment, not towards
Mm.
people, but the resentment because I allowed, because of a lack of balance, I allowed these things to come into mix, and therefore things got pushed to the back burner. When I think about
Mhm.
when we started, so be it, several years ago, but because of the many things that happen in our lives, irrespectively, things that happen in our life, that it went
Mhm.
to the left, it didn't go the way we
Mm.
wanted, or got put on hold. And
Mm.
as we began over the last several years to revisit some things and move it forward, look at the years that have come in between in moving forward, and that's just one thing of many things. But when we don't take time out for ourselves, that we can gain the clarity, that's what happened. And we're not
Mm.
saying it because we're at a place of arrival and we got it and we know what to do. What we have recognized is that if you don't take time to investigate and have those moments intentionally that you set aside for just yourself, this is what happened. Your stuff gets
Mm.
put on the back burner, and you can become too tired, too fatigued to even
Mm.
try to go back and unearth it. Well, what was that thing that I used to be passionate about? Or what was that thing that I used to want to do? And when
Yeah.
Pam talks about this is unmasked real talk, and we're having, we're having some real conversation, I cannot say to you enough how we have different health challenges and whatnot, but being diagnosed with early stage breast cancer was the greatest wake up call
Mm.
I could have ever experienced, because at this point it's like this. Okay, now you have something, you have a choice. You can kind of muddle around with the things you want to do, or you can move forward and recognize that your purpose, the purpose that God gave for you, to take it all the way He wants you to do it, without thinking about maybe I'm too old, or maybe I'm just tired, I don't feel like doing it. That
Mhm.
passion, it's almost like it was reignited, like, okay, sure, there's some things you've done, but you still have not done and moved forward in all that I put in you, because of whatever. You let things
Mhm.
get in the way, whether it be our children, whether it be our jobs, whether it be somebody else's agenda. It's like, no, what are you going to put yourself back on the forefront and do what matters
Mhm.
to you? That thing that
Mm.
put inside of us, that we go to sleep with at night and we wake up in the morning and it's right there. It's not going anywhere. But it's just like a wake up call. And I think it's so
Yeah.
important for us as women that we recognize that we have to take time out for ourselves. What matters
Yeah.
to, and it shouldn't.
Mhm.
Mhm,
And I think it's important to say that when you take time out for yourself,
mhm,
it's not at the neglect of other people. We're not talking about neglecting responsibility and what you need to do for your family and for your community. But I do want everyone to get this, that when you do take time for yourself to pursue your dreams, to pursue your goals, for self-care, for meditation, that
mhm.
you actually position yourself to
Yeah.
be a better service to others. There are people who need us to show up fully alive and fully awake because we've invested in ourselves, so that they then can run their own race, so
Mhm,
that they then can be the best version of themselves, so
mhm.
that they then can go and pursue goals and doors open for them. So it really is a win-win. It
Yes.
really is a win-win here. We got some comments here that I think might be
Yes.
worth
I love it.
worth
I love,
reading here. So
yeah.
somebody said it's a lie. Yes, it's a lie. It's
Yeah.
a
It's
lie.
mhm.
We've
Yeah.
got one of our graduates from our Think Again course who's making some shout outs here. Saida says yes. And I'm not sure, we're somewhat delayed when we talk and then when we see the
Yeah.
responses, but I'm sure it was good, whatever we were saying. Here's one that says we go above and beyond. We do go, and that's cool as long as the above and beyond is not at our own expense, you
That's right.
see.
Mhm.
It's and I believe we can go be above and beyond and still be energized if we're also equally taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And someone also said, "I know I would be a millionaire."
See,
They said I would be a
see.
millionaire. And then something else, someone said, we take time for physical self, but not emotional and spiritual self. And we want to
Ooh,
in that for a moment, because when we take time for physical self, that's just taking care of the outside, the outer
yeah.
appearance of us, but not the inward. But when we take time for the emotional and the physical, we're taking time to be intentional to process what's going on in our emotions, what's going on in our thought life, so that we can become spiritually disciplined and sound. And when we don't do that, all we're doing is just what we try not to do on this show, is masking. And we want people to
Yes.
recognize self care goes beyond the external. It has to include the inner work of the soul
Mm-hmm.
that we
Hmm.
often talk about. And that's the piece that we oftentimes neglect, is doing the inner work of the soul. And again,
Yeah, and you know what? And may I make a comment
yeah,
to that? And if you need, my sisters,
yes,
to take care of your physical by manicures and pedicures and massages and things like that, in order to get you to take care of yourself emotionally and spiritually, then do that. If that's your entree into taking care of you, then let that be the case. Just keeping in mind
mhm,
that there is more than the physical. There is the emotional and there is the spiritual. And those are the pillars to
yes,
really good health, to happiness and fulfillment. Because a manicure you can get today, and then in a week, your nails are looking bad, right? But when you invest in your emotional and spiritual, those are dividends that pay
mhm,
over time, all the time. What else
mhm.
we have?
Someone said, yes, indeed. And oh, Saida, one of our students said, selfishly generous to yourself.
Yes, yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
you
Yes.
just got a brownie point from your instructors on that one. Yes, you did. And again,
She sure enough did. She was a
and,
good student. She was a
and
good
yes,
student.
she was. Yes, she was. And then someone said, yes, indeed. And then again, Saida also said, don't hurt yourself for others'
Mm,
expectation of you. That is so key.
right?
Just as Pam shared earlier, you can't
Right.
pour out of an empty vessel. If you don't take time to take care of yourself, you can't be good to anyone else. So it's so important. We see the yeses coming in, and someone said that's the launching pad. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
take time to take care of yourself first. And we're being more conscious of the time, because we still yet
Oh.
only have 30 minutes, but we want to go to our unmasked question. And
Mm-hmm.
because we are a faith-based community, and we just want to ask this question. Our unmasked question is simply this: Do you believe that God has something bigger and better for you?
Mm-hmm.
Put
Mm-hmm.
your
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you believe that?
yeah, do
And
you
if you believe that, here's
believe?
the thing. uh, Faith without works
Come
is
on.
dead. So if you believe that God has something bigger and better for you, then you can't really experience that bigger and better if you putting everybody's needs on the front burner and yours on the back. You just cannot. Let's just keep that real. You have to make yourself a priority. And I was trying to think of you're better at scriptures than me, Cheryl. But I was trying to think of a scripture or a story in the Bible where Jesus was not always about the people. He was taking time to say, um, this is where we need Kayla. Kayla, we need Kayla in here on this one.
It's a
But I
good
can
story. It's
imagine
a
like the disciples were on some boat
yeah,
and
that's
then
what
by
I was gonna
themselves, right? And
say.
then we was like, well, where's Jesus? Jesus wasn't on that boat. Jesus was somewhere else. And then eventually showed up walking on water. But you'd be like, well, Jesus should be with the disciples 24/7. Jesus should be with the people 24/7. No, he was not. He was not. He had to steal away time to put himself on the front burner so he could be of value to the masses. And I don't even have a seminary degree.
What happens is that what he did was, we have to understand, and to take it a step further, when we think about the Sabbath rest, he instituted that for us because he knew we would need it. He took time to
Mhm.
rest. When
That's
you're
good.
rest, you allow your mind to be rejuvenated, to be refreshed, to be renewed. You allow your physical body to be strengthened and be rejuvenated. You allow your
Yeah.
spirit man to be refreshed and be rejuvenated. So when you go back refreshed, you go back refined, you go back in a better place, and you're not weary. But what happens is that we think about the Sabbath. The Sabbath in
Mhm.
itself is something that God instituted for us because he knew we needed it. But when we stop and ask the question, we're not going to ask you to raise your hands. We're not going to ask you to put anything in the chat. But how many of us are intentional that we take time, whether several hours, whether it's 24 hours a week, just to refresh ourselves? And I'm
Mhm,
not talking about
mhm,
just
mhm,
going to worship. I'm talking about time aside that you set aside for yourself. That's key.
mhm, mhm.
Because when
Yeah,
you
it's all
to the
yeah.
him walking on the water and being in the boat, he was resting while the storm was taking place.
Oh, is
He,
that right? Okay, so I
he
got that
was
story
resting.
wrong.
No, no. What
Oh,
happened
I got the
is
story wrong.
he was resting. The thing is, he was doing what
Oh,
was needful for him at that
uh-huh, uh-huh.
moment. Now we have
Okay,
another
thank
story.
you.
You can think about Mary and Martha. Martha was trying to make sure everything was tight because guests were coming over. Mary was
Okay.
where she was sitting at Jesus' face because she was doing that which was needful for her. And
Um,
oftentimes, as women, my sisters, we
yeah,
need to be mindful to listen to our bodies that we're doing at that moment what's needful for
yeah,
us.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Thank you for correcting me on that story. Um, but we've got a comment also here that from our another one of our Think Again graduates. Absolutely, I just have to get out of my own way. So she's saying, yes, she does believe that God has something bigger and better for
Yes.
her, but she just has to get out of her own way. And getting out of your own way, like, what are you doing that's in your own way? Would be my follow up question. If you can get that answer in before we have to say goodbye. But let's do the
The
oh,
takeaway.
and by the way, Cheryl, let's let everyone know that tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
Mhm.
we're going to be doing an interactive webinar
We are.
on, there it is, register from fatigue to first. We're going to be teaching the ladies 5
Shit.
shifts that
Mhm.
they have to make if they want to go from fatigue to first. And we'll put the link, the registration link, in our Facebook group. So for those who want to register who have not yet, but one of the 5 shifts is one that we're talking about right now. And we're
Mhm.
going to explain that a little bit more in depth at the interactive. It's interactive. So we're going to be asking you questions. This is not us talking to you all day long. We're
Exactly.
going to ask you some questions. All right. So Danielle did say not doing the things I'm passionate about.
That's it. That's it.
Ooh,
That's it.
mm,
That's
mm,
it.
mm.
That is
And
it.
we want to know, how is that working for you?
Yep.
Is that
Ab-
working for you, our sister, to not
Absolutely.
do the things? I'm gonna guess that not doing the things that you're passionate about causes you a degree of unhappiness and dissatisfaction that you may not be able to put your finger on, but it is possibly part of what you're experiencing in this life, because we can there's a scripture. Let me say this real fast because I see the time, but this is going to help you, Danielle. And it goes like this: if you do not bring what's in you, if you don't bring that forth,
Mhm.
what's in you will destroy you. If you do not bring forth that which is within you, then what you don't bring forth will destroy you. That's from one of the Gnostic Gospels of Thomas. I want you to think about that because it might set you free, my sister. Okay, we got to go to the takeaways
We
and
gotta go
like
to the
really fast in the raffle.
Yep, we have to go to our takeaways. So I'm going to give the first one real quick. It says the first takeaway to take time for you is to take meaningful moments to listen to God's instructions. He's always speaking to us. If he says, let it go, let it go. If he prioritizes your action steps, be willing to follow his leading. We all know what Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you, thoughts of good, not of evil, to give you an expected end of the hope. So we want to take those moments to listen to him. Pam, you want to give them 2?
I'm gonna give them 2 and 3, but not the whole thing because we don't have time. Number
Oh,
2 is stop the mental chatter, and
woo!
number 3 is give yourself grace. Do we have time for the raffle? Kayla had to put that on fast. Okay. Uh-oh. I don't hear the music, but
I hear it.
oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Woo!
Okay, Danielle, your job is to take a picture of yourself taking care of yourself with that candle. I don't know what that looks like for you, taking care of yourself, but you do, and we would love to see a picture of that so you can post it in our Facebook group. All right,
Yes.
we need to go.
Yep, we need. Well, ladies, this has been awesome. We have shared some information with you. We just want you to take it to heart. And until next week, if those of you that are joining us tonight, we will see you tonight at our webinar. If not, we'll see you again next week, Tuesday at 1:30 Eastern
Oh,
Standard Time.
wait, there are some other people in the raffle that
Yeah.
whose names didn't get.
Oh no.
Laverme, Kelly Woods, Kathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll make sure that your names are in the raffle for next week as well. We're so sorry, but we
Yep.
love you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
It's okay to be broke.